morning sunshine. Yeah, that's what The Rock just said. Open your eyes up. Get your candy ass out of bed.
Good morning. It is Tech Talk Today, episode 242. My name is Chris.
And I'm Angela.
Yes, that was The Rock, Angela, singing you a good morning tune.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got a big show today, so let's start right with the news. Dwayne The Rock Johnson just released a motivational alarm clock app. And guess what? The Rock's not a fan of the snooze button. So this app, it doesn't have one.
Oh my gosh.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, Andrews. I had to go find
Where's
a belt
that
for that.
fella?
Yeah. I had to go get that. This is so hilarious. After a year of research and development, Dwayne The Rock Johnson has released an app. Now, he gets up pretty much every day at 4 a.m.
Ew.
Yeah, and when you first open the app, it's going to ask you to set a goal. Either indefinite or timed. No magic formula, he says, or secret to success. I'm up at 4 a.m. every day putting on the hard work. He's super excited about this. He's recorded a couple of different songs for it, a couple of different ringtones, like this one. That is The Rock jamming out on guitar. Yeah.
What?
Yes, this is really happening.
I kind of like that. It reminds me of like the 80s power ballads.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I thought you would.
A little bit of Aerosmith-ish. And... Wow, I like it.
I know. I thought you might. It's actually, he's really into it. Like he writes, from this historic day forward, I'm waking your ass up. Hashtag the rock clock has arrived.
The rock clock. Oh, I could see that. Oh, say that like 10 times fast.
This app is free. Download it now. We spent over a year engineering this app for you. Our goal was to create a free, direct, uncomplicated, cool, motivating app to help you get up and go after your goals every morning. I want to disrupt the traditional morning alarm system we use on our phones. I don't know. I think I'm pretty excited about this. Mr. Hey Citizen, would you get yourself a rock app to wake yourself up in the morning?
Well, I mean, the name is good, and he does kind of rock, so I kind of like it.
Yeah, I think he's kind of known in his circle for getting up early. He's got it available for Android and iOS, and it's for free. So go get the rock time, I think is the rock clock is what it's called, the rock clock. So there's no better way to wake up than that. Now, while we're keeping things cutting edge, of course, you're probably cutting the cord, at least Hulu is thinking that, and they've got a new live TV streaming service in the works. That's the rumor. Now, here's the details. The Wall Street Journal believes that Hulu has an ambitious plan to go up against things like Sling TV and the PlayStation Vue. Rather than trying to broadcast every channel in existence, though, it's claimed that the company will focus on quality over quantity.
Finally, but the thing is, this is like the anti-cord cutter. This is like, cut the like literal cable cord from the cable companies and just turn it into a digital, internet.
Yeah, deliver your TV over IP.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And given that Hulu is part owned by Disney and 20th Century Fox, you can figure at least ABC and ESPN content and Fox content will be in the new platform, which is more than you can say for some of Sling. Sling has ESPN, but it doesn't have Fox content or ABC content.
This is kind of what we've all been wanting. Like some sort of hybrid of Netflix and
so,
cable.
But here's the thing, Angela.
Channels.
You're not going to cancel your Netflix with this.
No.
And here's the other problem. Negotiations are still in the early stages from what we've seen, so it wouldn't even be launching until the start of 2017. And $40 a month.
Wow. That's not cord cutting. That's not good. You know what else? I forgot. I forgot. That is, I know. Hulu and Netflix feels like the Apple versus Android phone situation.
Well,
you either Hulu or you Netflix.
Well, you've also got Amazon Prime in there.
I know, but the primary ones, I agree. When people say, "Oh, I don't have cable," it's either Hulu or Netflix. But rarely is it both. But I'm sure they exist. I'm a Netflix.
Hey, Citizen, are you a cord cutter by chance? And what do you think of $40 a month?
Yeah, $40 is kind of a lot, I guess. Considering Netflix is substantially cheaper. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the cord. I don't think I've plugged it in ever, so I don't need to cut it.
Could you imagine 20 years down the road? So Rikai's pointed out that Hulu, is partially owned by cable companies and the broadcast companies. $40 a month seems kind of like a lot, but in comparison to like $120 a month cable bill, it's not crazy.
Yeah.
Although you're not going to have the same selection as you would with $120 a month cable, and you won't have a DVR, although it's on demand.
No, but when you pay $120 a month, you have to sift through like 100 and something channels to try. It takes like 20 minutes just to find something.
But what if you go big picture and you go 20 years down the road and you say, well, $40 a month, say everybody switches over to a plan that's like this for $40 a month and you're delivering all TV content over IP. Then as a cable company, you no longer have to invest in the copper network. You no longer have to invest in all that infrastructure. And all of a sudden, $40 a month is cake money because you're delivering over the public internet. You're not paying for that infrastructure necessarily.
Well, if Hulu is owned by a cable company, then technically,
in that case.
Right? Because they're probably, if they offer internet over cable, then they are investing in the infrastructure. Yeah, I guess it does become like a who really, wow, yeah. So Hulu is piggybacking on ISP infrastructure. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and then you can see why the ISPs would want to cut.
Yeah.
And that's where net neutrality debates get started.
Right? Wow.
So while talking about things down the road, quite literally, I can't help but be fascinated by self-driving cars.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've always thought is when we get there, and I mean really get there, it's got to be 20, 30 years off, even though we're already talking about it. Mm-hmm. I mean when we really get there. I mean when everybody is in a car that is driven by a computer network and like nobody's stopping at intersections because cars are flowing like data packets. One of the things I've always thought is, boy, isn't this going to just devastate the insurance companies? Well, Warren Buffett says, yeah, self-driving cars will be bad. And Warren Buffett probably knows what he's talking about.
Driverless cars. Is that going to be an issue for the auto insurance companies like a Geico?
The answer is yes. I think it's a long way off, but there's no question. Anything that makes cars safer is very pro-social, and it's bad for the auto insurance industry. But nevertheless, the auto insurance industry has always worked on making cars safer. I mean, they've led the way on things like seat belts and all that. But if there are no accidents, there's no need for insurance. And I think there will be a big reduction in accidents over a longer period of time. And of course,
sure. And so, Ange, what do you think? The hype is strong right now. You could even go out, if you had enough money, and buy yourself a Tesla that has a self-driving mode. You have to keep the hands on the wheels. It's not like fully automated, but you can literally just sort of sit back and let the car do the driving for you. Mm-hmm. You have Google out there driving around all over the place in California with their self-driving cars. Apple is supposedly working on a secret project with car manufacturers. BMW is working on self-driving cars. Toyota is working on it. Ford is working on it. It seems like, in some cases, we're just years away from getting it on the road. And then, but in other times, when I think about the insurance companies, when I think about all of the laws that have to change, all of like the local police departments that won't be making revenue off of tickets and traffic violations, and how that's going to greatly impact local law communities, like this seems like we must be decades away. What do you think? What's your gut on it?
Well, I think it's just like, I think it's most comparable to drones, you know? I think there's a lot of things that could be taken from all the legislation and rules that are coming out of drones and airspace that could be applied to the roads. But I am very eager to see what happens to insurance, because things are still going to happen, but how are they going to prove fault? You know,
whose computer crashed? Whose computer had the bug?
Right? Or
check the logs.
or is the car manufacturer going to have like a certain liability as well?
Daredevil, really, and you think it's not decades away? You think some of this stuff will get smoothed over pretty quickly?
Yes, especially because some of the countries that used to be in the actual grabbing this, because I look at this, the biggest impact is going to be in transportation system. So when you're talking like actually merchandising transportation, not just the regular individual commuting, that's the last end of the spectrum. That's where the legislation comes to affect and be damaging. But really, when you look at the transport industry, that's where it's going to be the driver for actually the adoption of this, because these are the ones that will have the biggest profits over it. So
you mean like big freight trucks and stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I could totally see that. Yeah, so absolutely.
Based on that perspective, I don't see it decades away at all. I see it actually being pushed forward. Now, what I also see is that left-wing parties will try to limit legally the availability of such devices because of the unemployment that is going to be happening in a short term.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
In the long term, we will have jobs created because you have all these new engineering feats. But in the short term, is going to create a lot of... So I see legislative framework hurdles are not on the technical side of allowing them to drive.
Right.
It's going to be on labor.
Yeah, I agree. That's how I see it too. Anyone else in the mumble room want to jump in before we move on to? Because I feel like we have 20 years. Yeah, go ahead, and she can too.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about it, and let's think about how electric cars were introduced. You know, at first they were like, "Oh, I could save a lot of money on gas." Well, no, because by the time like they raised the price of the car because they know you're going to save that money.
Well,
And
also
so
it costs more to build an electric vehicle in some cases.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Sure. But
And you don't have the scale you do of building gas engines.
And so like you actually don't like kind of make, don't quote me on this, but it's about, you know, like it's like 10 years before you actually get a return on investment on an electric car. And then also everybody, all the early adopters had nowhere to plug in their cars, you know, like, and I imagine self-driving cars will have some element of you need to do something to plug in or whatever. And there's not going to be a public.
And then we'll go to WW. So this point you just made here is what fascinates me the most, because if you go to a truly self-driving car system, you wouldn't need to have a car parked out front right now. You would have queued up a car on your phone 15 minutes before it's time to go. It would have showed them at your house. You would have gotten it. It would have delivered you here. You would have gotten out, and then when the show's wrapping up, you'd order another car, and the ones that are moving around the system would just stop by. There's no reason for ownership.
Yeah.
So yeah, why not have a fully automated system? Why not have all cars on demand?
It's an Uber with no driver.
Yeah, it's why not?
Right.
If you can manage if the cars can be available on demand, like data packets can be sent to a network connection on demand, and if you can have these cars charging themselves, driving to locations, charging up while they wait to get queued up and they go.
That sounds like a freaky. Like let's see a movie about this. I could
see it going that way.
I would love to see all the intricate details that people think of that we'd have to deal with. You know, like I mean, that just sounds great.
Yeah. All right, Mr. WW, your thoughts on the subject?
Yeah, you're still going to have insurance because you're still going to have pedestrians around, hopefully, and people that are so massively into cycling. And I think you'd still have to have some kind of basic insurance at least to cover that. I don't really think you'll entirely be rid of insurance. It might be reorganized, but you'll still have it in some way.
Yeah, it'll be just as expensive. Even though the liability, hopefully would be way less than us actually being behind the wheel.
Yeah. All right. So, Mr. Darrelvin, you'll get the final thought on the topic. Go ahead.
So I think we're going to have actually a shift on insurance. So currently insurance is mandatory if you have a car to have insurance, at least to some degree of it in most countries.
Yeah.
The shift is going to be that people have to have primarily life insurance or some sort of other insurance if you don't have single payer system. Because the companies, I mean, like Chris showed that example of the shared economy model, that strategy, like the onus is always in the same company because they're going to have the freight monopoly, right? So that wouldn't seem like a mandatory legal insurance for one company. It's legislation that doesn't make sense, right? So in this sense, the shift, and there's revenue in the insurance scheme that governments take. So they're going to look into shifting that onus to each individual, which will make insurance become more of a personalized thing, not so much as you are a car owner, you have to have car insurance.
Right. I could see us needing like a badge that would have our ID logged. Oh, everything, all the things logged, right? This, probably is going to be Google. And then a proof of insurance. And then we have the issue of, like with the electric cars, the state's like, wait, but we're not getting, tax from the gas to replace the roads. So, they wanted to find a per mile tax or something. So we'll end up also then securing payment for a per mile that the car drove us fee. I mean, taxes, right?
There's already some discussion about that.
Not necessarily. And if you look around the world, that issue has already been kind of addressed. Like right now in the EU legislation, you have pretty much, in the net neutrality rules, there is a special clause for specialized services, which include medical and self-driving cars.
Here in Washington, there is some discussion because we for a long time have had incentives, tax breaks to get electrical vehicles, and now they want to move over to a mileage-based tax system. I want to move on though because I feel like we have 20 years to discuss that. So let's go. Now that we went 20 years into the future, it's time to go 20 years into the past with. This crazy SOB got Windows 95 running on an Apple Watch.
That's crazy.
It really is.
I'm not even sure how.
He says he modified the Apple SDK. He created a emulated environment to emulate the devices. Do you notice, though, that he's got this little plastic finger right there?
Yeah.
He has it set up to automatically move the crown every few seconds, so that way the screen doesn't go to sleep. Because otherwise the screen goes... Here's the other thing. I guess it takes like almost an hour to boot up.
That's hilarious.
It's super crazy slow. And the guy just wanted to see if he could do it. And, he did it. And then you can see it right here. Here's a video of him perusing the start menu. Developer Nick Lee posted this video on his YouTube account where he is, he's running Windows. And, of course... one of the things you got to do once you get it up and running is, I would assume you eventually have to play solitaire. He he modified the device emulator to take swipes as a mouse click or different types of input, so he could swipe on the screen to do different kinds of clicks.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and there he is, ladies and gentlemen, playing solitaire under Windows 95 on his Apple Watch, and you get a feel for how fast solitaire loads. It still hasn't loaded. Yeah. It's still not loaded yet. Yeah, let's jump ahead a couple of minutes. There we go. Hold on now. Solitaire is loading. It's really ridiculously slow, but it's pretty neat. It's pretty geeky. Okay, so that's pretty geeky. Have you noticed that the price of Bitcoin is falling? That's also pretty geeky. Yeah, here's what's going on. This is a crack story from OAN News, and they have, I think, the best take on what's going on in the state of Bitcoin. You ready, Ange? Get ready for this.
Young man claims to be the creator of Bitcoin, a claim that would end one of the biggest mysteries in the tech world. The computer scientist says he doesn't want fame or adoration. He just wants to stop the spread of misinformation about the digital currency.
Winning, obviously, and it's my stag do, you see, so I'm getting married in 2 months, so running it for that, so it's very special.
And tell me about when you looked over your shoulder.
All right, we apologize, that was the wrong soundbite there. But Craig Wright, the computer scientist, says he launched the currency in 2009 with the help of others, and although he has provided evidence of digital messages during the early days of Bitcoin, many still want more proof.
I love that when the mainstream media tries to cover a Bitcoin story, even though they got some of the details right, they botch it so bad by accidentally going to a clip of a clown running a marathon.
And then they continued to show it. They didn't go back to the anchor. They're like crawling through mud. And goodness, that's great.
So here's another clip that explains a little bit of what's going on and why this is a big deal. Again, if you didn't catch it, an Australian man has come out as Satoshi Nakamoto.
Australian entrepreneur Craig Wright has identified himself as the creator of Bitcoin. Now, this came after years of speculation about who invented the pioneering digital currency launched in 2009. However, in an interview with the BBC, Wright insisted he would have preferred his identity to remain secret and was not seeking cash or honors.
Oh.
The BBC posted a video of Wright demonstrating the signing of a message with the public key associated with the first transaction ever done on Bitcoin. But The Economist magazine says there were still a number of steps to go through to evaluate whether Wright was indeed the creator.
So this guy says he doesn't want any attention, doesn't want any credit, yet then comes out and tells everybody who he is. It just seems that part of it seems a little suspicious to me. Yeah. Why say you don't want any?
Well, and didn't they supposedly catch the creator or arrest him a couple of years ago?
No, that was debunked. They wouldn't have arrested him either. That was debunked. Yeah, that was probably But I want to play just a little bit of the interview. And BBC always pulls us down for playing this, but I want you guys to see it yourself and see if you believe it. I'll just play bits of it in attempts not to get pulled down.
Wright, and I'm about to demonstrate a signing of a message with the public key that is associated with the first transaction ever done on Bitcoin. And
so he's doing an interview with the BBC here and attempting to prove to this journalist, who obviously has no Bitcoin expertise or cryptographic experience.
Who does the world think did that first transaction? What's the name associated with that first transaction?
The monkeyer is Satoshi Nakamoto.
So you're going to show me that Satoshi Nakamoto is you?
Now that seems like a yes or no question, right?
That's a good question.
Right. And that seems like yes or no would be his answer, right? That's what I would think he would say, would be yes, because he's coming out as Satoshi Nakamoto. So I would assume when this guy asked him the question, he'd say yes.
Yes. Some people will believe, some people won't. And to tell you the truth, I don't really care.
There you go. So he says, yes, I am Satoshi Nakamoto.
He
and
set me up. I thought he was going to say no.
No, I'm saying
I know. Yeah.
And if you don't believe it, he doesn't care.
But you can say, hand on heart to me, I am Satoshi Nakamoto.
I was the main part of it. Other people helped me.
Well, that wasn't exactly a yes.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Why did you feel, though, that you had to come out, and why did you feel you had to keep secret for so long?
Now, here's the other thing, is this answer is actually a little weird. So why did you feel like you had to come out? Why did you have to...
I would prefer to be secret now. I don't think I should have to be out there. There's nothing owed to the world where I have to come out and say, I am X, I am Y. I mean, no one needs to do that.
Well, then why is he doing it?
Yeah.
So that's kind of strange, right? That's a little odd.
And what prompted it?
I have
Right, there's no, like, why not come out a couple years ago when it was crashing, or like when people were trying to figure out who?
I have my theories. I do have theories about it, but I don't have an answer. Here's what's going on. Is he's come out and said, yes, I am Satoshi Nakamoto, and Gavin Andresen, which is one of the chief scientist for the Bitcoin Foundation, is one of the core developers now. He jumped on a plane, flew over to London on like the 7th, and met with him. And he walked out and said, "I'm sufficiently convinced that this is Satoshi Nakamoto. He did a few things that I thought proved it was him." And I have a little bit of this clip for you, just so you can see how he was kind of reacting.
I do think Craig is Satoshi. I met with him in London. He fits the kind of person that I was interacting with way back in 2010, and he provided some cryptographic proof using the private key from the very first Bitcoin block to show that he possessed that key. So although it's impossible to prove something like that 100%, I think for me, he's proved it beyond a reasonable doubt.
I wonder if they've checked Craig's basement for...
Something else is when he was providing proof, the internet quickly found out that he'd gone back and edited his blog to make it look like he had talked about Bitcoin in the past when he hadn't.
Ew, that sucks.
It looks like one of the keys he used to sign something was obviously generated more recently because it was used using parameters. It just looks like it was backdated intentionally. There's metadata in there that makes it look.
That sucks.
Yeah, there's a few things in there, and I have linked you guys to a blog post that does a good job. It summarizes the evidence that he is Satoshi Nakamoto, and then it goes through and summarizes the evidence that he's a scammer. Most explicitly of all, it says comparisons of different archive versions of the Three Smoking Gun post from Wright's blog show that he did edit all three to insert evidence of Bitcoin history. The PGP key associated with Nakamoto's email address and references to an upcoming cryptocurrency paper and triple entry accounting were added sometime after 2013. The PG key controlled by Wright, believed to be Satoshi Nakamoto's, was generated with a PGP cipher suites not available at the time that Satoshi would have generated them. That key was never on a key server at that date. They claimed his company worked with SGI. SGI says that's not true. Anyways, there's a lot going on. Also, Craig Wright is being investigated by the Australian Tax Office and appears to be accused of tax fraud right now. So that could have something to do with what's going on, perhaps.
For some quick cash money?
Well, no, because he says he doesn't have any of the Bitcoin, that it's all in a trust, which I don't even know how that would exist. I don't know how you'd put Bitcoin in a trust way back in the day. Either way, the Bitcoin community is riled up about it, and they are, especially our Bitcoin on Reddit, is just going nuts.
Sign the Genesis block or shut.
Somebody bit-ticked the chat room.
Look at this. Somebody has created a song for Craig Wright saying, "Sign the Genesis block or shut the F up."
Sign the Genesis block or shut the fuck up.
You see what I'm saying? Like, the Bitcoin community is seriously riled up about this right now. You have tons of news coverage. Their subreddit's going nuts. And now interesting sort of backlash for Gavin, who I said was the chief scientist of the Bitcoin Foundation, came out and said, yes, I think this is Satoshi Nakamoto. After he did that, his GitHub access to Bitcoin was limited. People and the group says, oh, well, we think he's been hacked, and so that's why we've done it. But now it's become clear that he hasn't been hacked. In fact, Andresen, I should say, made additional statements this morning at a conference saying he still believes it's Satoshi Nakamoto and that he wasn't hacked, but yet Gavin's access to the GitHub for Bitcoin has still been revoked to make commits. So it seems to be there's some backlash from the core development community for Gavin coming out and saying he does think it's Satoshi. And then last but not least, Craig Wright says he'll soon move some of the original Satoshi Bitcoins to prove that it's him. Like, only Satoshi could move these coins around when you move something.
So soon, like, so once you find the person and
I know,
get
that
them
is
I mean,
weird,
like,
right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that is particularly weird. To prove to you all, I will soon move some of the original Bitcoin. The way this will be verified is people will watch the blockchain, see if these, because those original Bitcoins are in the blockchain ledger. They're at the very beginning of the ledger.
Right.
And so they'll be very clear if any of those coins were ever touched.
Interesting.
Why he doesn't do it right away, I don't understand. Right. Yeah. He also claims that he's going to refuse to do immediate interviews, that once this is over, he's done, which is very convenient. He claims he doesn't want any attention, but yet he came out and announced that he's Satoshi, which is odd. He used a flawed key. All of it is kind of nonsensical, but at the same time could very well be possible. It seems like many in the mainstream media are convinced. Gavin Andresen is convinced. Many in the Bitcoin community are not. Daredevil, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Are you convinced?
So, this is complicated. I say there's a three sides argument here. The first side is his stance of, you shouldn't ever have to come out, and he coming out. Yeah, that still is relevant in the sense that that's the intention of Bitcoin, right? You are allowed to come out if you want to do so. And it's a clear advertisement of the capabilities. Second point being that he has now the ability to capture this attention to actually, one, make Bitcoin prosper a little bit more. And he already knows that it's in a current situation that the mystique actually helps him. If it goes well, he profits from it, but doesn't necessarily have the super credit, but still has some. If it goes bad, he doesn't take the flack because it went bad at some point. He didn't take any flack because he wasn't know. The mystique protects him. And the mystique allows this to be an explosion in the media so that now that he's in an actual investigation issues, needs to actually be, to a degree, public siding with him, or at least awareness of it. In that sense.
That makes sense.
It's a protective measure.
Yeah. And, also, if you say what you're saying and combine it with Linux Bob's in the chat room who says, establish him as an authority, then run Bitcoin in any way or direction you want. That's an interesting comment because I need to read more about this, and that's why I didn't really mention this until now. But there is a huge debate in the Bitcoin community right now about how large we should be allowing the blockchain to get and how large all these different transactions can be. And I believe Craig Wright is on the same side as Gavin Andresen. Like, they agree on the direction to take that solution, which is not a particularly popular one. So it would be really interesting if all of a sudden there's this major core fundamental decision to be made. It's literally tearing up the Bitcoin community, creating forks, creating insecurity in terms of people's confidence. Like the Linux Foundation has gone off and created a commercial fork of their own because of these particular, I think, some of these problems that have sort of deeply caused people to be unsure about the future direction of Bitcoin. I suspect, as watching it, this has been a concern people have been growing in the background, and it's super convenient that there's this massive decision to be made, and Craig Wright happens to agree with Gavin, who is sort of pushing an unpopular opinion. And if all of a sudden you had the original creator of Bitcoin come out and say, yes, this is the direction Bitcoin should go in, that would probably move the argument pretty significantly if the community believed he was really Satoshi Nakamoto. So there is that angle. That could be why Craig is coming out right now, whether there's decisions trying to be made. It could be perhaps that watching Gavin Andresen, I've always felt really super uneasy whenever he's answering the question about Satoshi Nakamoto. For example, if you go watch Leo Laporte's triangulation with Gavin and Leo pushes him on the question a little bit, and Gavin gets a little weird about it. When Gavin says he doesn't know who Satoshi is, I don't believe him for some reason. Reading his body language, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Gavin was part. If there were several people that were Satoshi and he was part of it, and he stuck around, and when the other guys originally left.
Well, that coincides with Craig's did it with other people.
Conspiracy. Gavin is Satoshi. He lacks the public and social skills. Does this guy takes over, and he's his partner in this thing?
Right, and I wonder. I wonder if maybe Gavin's getting pressured here, or what's going on, or if maybe this guy really is Nakamoto. We will just have to stay tuned and find out, I suppose. But it is sort of affecting the price of Bitcoin right now.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Gift stopped accepting, or Gift no longer allows you to convert Bitcoin to Amazon gift cards, although some people are rumoring that Amazon's going to start accepting Bitcoin. I think I just read a story that another couple of big companies have begun accepting Bitcoin. So there is actual continued adoption, which is that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
So a major magazine publisher is going to announce Bitcoin payments soon. Microsoft has announced accepting Bitcoin again. Mozilla is accepting Bitcoin for donations. PayPal is considering allowing you to fund your account with Bitcoin. The Wikimedia Foundation just announced they're accepting Bitcoin, and the German newspaper Taz has announced they're accepting Bitcoin all recently.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's interesting times for Bitcoin, and that concludes our Bitcoin news right there.
This is CNN Breaking News.
There. So shake it off if you don't like it. And good news, because now it's time for our Kickstarter of the week. And this one, I think, could work right here where I'm standing, Andrews. That's why I like it. I know it. Now, it hasn't breached the winning mark yet. It's got 102 backers. They've raised $32,808 with a goal of $59,588.
They've raised $32,000 with only 102 backers?
Yeah, and they have 15 days left to go. It's the Uplift, a slim workspace that transforms any table into a height-adjustable standing desk, which is pretty convenient because I'm standing right now.
At your workspace. Maybe your ergonomics could be better. Maybe you could improve your efficiency simply by making your workspace more dynamic. Hi, we're the team behind Uplift. Uplift creates an ergonomic working position, easily adjusted to any height by activating the manual elevating system. With great stability, it easily lifts your workspace to your specific height, whether you use a laptop or a stationary computer. Uplift transforms any table into a height-adjustable desk, which means that you can create a dynamic office or workspace at home without compromising the aesthetics. Uplift is quickly adjusted manually using no electricity. We feel comfortable in our office, and we created an atmosphere we think is pleasant and presentable. We didn't want to compromise with the aesthetics by discarding our tables and replace them with regular height-adjustable desks. We wanted to improve ergonomics in a different way, so we created Uplift. Place Uplift on a regular table and your computer on top of it. When you wish to stand, simply raise it with a lightweight pull. You're ready to work in an upright position. No wires and electricity is needed. When you push the handle, the spring elevating system ensures an elevation lock at your favorite height. Uplift moves towards you and makes space for your legs when standing. The main parts of Uplift are made of high-density compact laminate that creates a smooth, cleanable surface and, most importantly, the unique stability. Uplift is portable and easy to store if needed, or because of the slim design, you simply merge Uplift with your computer and make it an integrated part of your personal look, whether it's at work or at your home office. Free your desk and make your workspace dynamic.
There's two sides of this for me. One, I don't really believe in standing desk. If you really need standing in your life, you should get away from the computer. Sorry. I talk as a developer. I spend a lot of time in the computer. Seriously, get out.
I like it. I like it just from like for me, from like a broadcasting standpoint. I feel like I have better breathing form when I'm standing, so it's easier, and then I have better energy doing the shows because I'm breathing a little better. So for me, standing makes, I feel like that's one of the reasons when I'm doing an audio only show most of the time, I stand.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand, but that's like a customized business specific, type of product.
Yeah.
On the other side is like, this is not something super innovative. Go to IKEA, you probably.
I agree. Right? The one thing I do like about it is the spring mechanism they're using with the latch system where you can set it at any level looks like maybe one of the best, because like the IKEA one's a peg system.
Yeah, I was wondering if it would fail. Originally, I thought it might be hydraulic.
Here's the thing, though.
Realistic.
Yeah.
As a business, because you're kickstarting a business, right? You're helping a business come out. Like as a business, do they have competitive edge with IKEA or anyone that makes furniture? Like how quick can they copy this design?
Here's what I like about it is it does look super slim when it's not in use. So the way they have it all folded up is really slick. The pricing though,
Yeah, what is it? It's at least 300, right?
It's $397 was the early bird.
Right.
Yeah, and now it's here's the thing, $421 is the next step up, and they only have 100 of those, and then it's $446.
This is what we're talking. This is ridiculous. So
and good craftsmanship and good wood. Maybe it just
I know. I like a good wood. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? It costs. You could buy a whole desk for that. I mean, like that is. I hate this market. I mean, does it really cost that much to make, or are they trying to, like, in this Kickstarter, make up for like research time and expense? Like, it seems like this is something that you'd want to invest in later once the price drops, because that is so expensive.
Here's who I think the market is, and I think this is why they probably may not make it. It's for people that have really expensive desks already, and now have gotten into the standing desk fad thing.
Oh, sure.
And
right.
so,
they don't,
like, let's say this table that we got for broadcasting, which was actually a ridiculously good price, but let's just say this is like a $2,000 desk, which is feasible, right?
Right.
An all-wood desk.
You wouldn't just discard it. You would just add an accessory to modify it.
Yeah. So I could see that. Plus, look at all these people raising iMacs. If you got iMac money. No.
Yeah, right.
If you got iMac money or anything close to it, even if you don't got iMac money, maybe you'd like to support the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. We could use your help. Patreon.com/today. Go over there. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to say not funded on the Tech Talk program.
Yeah, right.
But if you would like to fund the Tech Talk program or any show on the Jupiter Broadcasting Network, patreon.com/today. And now we're post Linux Fest, and so I've been thinking about it's time to readdress this. And I was just going through this page like mentally, like starting at the top. The video is awful and does not apply at all.
Yeah.
The text is atrocious.
Yeah, I have adjusted the text a couple times.
It's so and the milestones are like so like a tiny, pitiful little itsy-bitsy minuscule version of the awesomeness that we want to do. Like, I look at that and go, oh, man. And the reality is, it's just simply, we've been super slammed, but we still, even though none of the stuff on that page is appropriate or justifies your support, hopefully the content.
It's all in the content.
Yes, exactly, because that's where we're putting all our energy and attention. Patreon.com/today. Now, here's something kind of neat. I just posted it to our patrons this morning before the show started. An exclusive. If you're a Tech Talk Today patron, actually recently for both the Unfiltered patron and the Tech Talk, I've been doing some exclusive clips. But for this morning, on the Today page, I posted an After Dark edition of Coda Radio. So we've got this new Linux rig over there. Did you see that? Did you see that's Linux right there? Did you know that?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, and so that is allowing us to stream to a whole bunch of different destinations and allowing us to do some extra recording because it's got a nice horsepower. And I experimented this morning with releasing the post show from this week's Coda Radio. Because Mike just had the kid, and he did. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, he did.
That's great.
And he's been looking at hardware, and his wife's laptop just busted, so he had to give. So we were talking about different hardware and PC builds and stuff like that, and it was kind of a fun post show. It's only like 6-7 minutes long, and I thought, well, this is a good technology demo and a workflow demo of. If I wanted to take something like that and publish it to the patrons, what's that workflow look like? And it was pretty slick. And so I just put that up this morning. If you've watched episode, I think it's like, 203 of Coda Radio. Do you know which one just went out, Ange?
I think it was 202.
Didn't you just?
Oh, it was just yesterday, wasn't it?
Didn't you just post it? It's 203.
Oh, it's 203.
Yeah, so if you've listened to episode 203 of Coda Radio, or even if you haven't really, the post show isn't really specific to the content in that show, although it is a little bit. Yeah. Go check it out on the Patreon page. If you're a patron of any level, patreon.com/today. It's not something that's just a beta test workflow. I think eventually we'll probably be releasing the entire live stream, most of it, to the patrons.
Of each show, because a lot of people can't make it for the live recording, but want to know that extra content.
And the son of a gun thing is, and gee darn it, gall darny, there's actually sometimes some of our best content in the pre and post show.
I know it.
Sometimes they're real stinkers. So it's like the people who are the most enthusiastic and supportive of our network should be able to watch that. Plus, I think eventually, if you're a patron, maybe that's just how you would watch the shows. So you would just, because it's like, in terms of for like TechSnap and LAS, it's like sometimes an additional hour and 40 minutes of content
yes.
that doesn't make it in the show. I mean, for this show, it's going to be like 15 minutes before it starts and like 10 minutes after it ends, 5 minutes after it ends.
Yep.
But for different shows, there's and the only show where you get a taste of what that's like is Linux Unplugged, where we include that in the actual show format because it's the unplugged show.
Right.
But it's sort of going to be opening that up to all of our patrons. Once we get there, the workflow hasn't been worked out yet. So what you see today there is just like me testing different ideas. We're still testing.
Right.
And we will be for a while. There's one more back-end server we have to spin up before we'll be totally ready. But patrons get it. Patreon.com/today.
And of course, there's some of you that maybe think, oh my gosh, you guys create too much content. It's too long. I don't have that long of a commute. Where that 7-minute after show video of Carter Radio is perfect. It's bite-sized.
Yeah, I don't think I'll do. I think down the road, I think I'll do the full live streams. But you could like here's how I would personally use it. Is I don't think I would listen to every show, but if I really enjoyed that episode of Carter Radio or say TechSnap or whatever, and I wanted to know what Alan and Chris said after they stopped hitting record, because we often still talk about that stuff.
Right.
Then I would go dig that one up. The other thing too is a lot of you out there are YouTube Red subscribers because you either got Google Play Music or whatever. And if you have YouTube Red, or even if you have YouTube DL on your Linux box, you can just download those episodes right to your phone. Like with YouTube Red, you can go in there and just say, save this to my phone, and then you can listen to it on the go and not use your bandwidth.
Nice.
Yeah. Or YouTube DL and just download it to your desktop, put it up on your media machine and just watch it.
Keep it on the DL.
Patreon.com/today. We're working on all kinds of cool stuff, and we appreciate your support for the entire network over there at patreon.com/today. And thank you, everybody, for supporting the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. Okay, so we got a lot more to get to today, so we should probably wrap this sucker up. And that brings us to our end of show clip. Now, if anything's going to get us pulled off YouTube today, it's probably this. But there's a couple of things I love about this. It was created by the same animation company that did Star Trek the Animated Series. So the animation style is very near and dear to my heart. Plus, it aired while I was growing up. And I have a suspicion that our eldest may be getting into the series because he's been asking me questions about it recently.
Interesting.
I don't even know how he found out about it because it is, well, some of you may never even watched it, but it is our end of show clip. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to add content to the show or a Kickstarter, techtalktoday.reddit.com. What are you laughing about?
Sweet Lou.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not porn. It's not porn. JupiterBroadcasting.com/calendar to find out when we're live, jblive.tv to watch it, and please do join us in that Mamba Room. We'd love to hear your insights. It's the People's Tech Show, after all. See you next week.
And the masters of the universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull!" Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Only 3 others share this secret. Our friends, the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. Together we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor.